This is Abnormal Entertainment.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cinema Head Cheese Podshort. This is Kevin Moyers, and this episode, I want to talk about something that I believe is destined to be a cult classic. Now, the name Michael Bay is usually said or heard or thought about with just a bit of, you know, there are people in the nerd community, the geek community, whatever you want to call it, who do not like that name because he ruined Transformers, even though they make millions and millions of dollars, and number 4 is coming out this summer. Well, I hate to say it, but he's not going anywhere. There are two guys that get this kind of ire, and it's Michael Bay and it's Roland Emmerich. Now, they have both made things that are good-ish, I guess, fun to watch. I mean, Roland Emmerich got, just destroyed for his version of Godzilla, which, I hate to say it, I don't really mind. I don't think it was all that bad. Michael Bay, a lot of the vitriol right now is over the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there are people that say, no, the Turtles look like they did in the old comic books, the old Eastman and Laird comic books. So they look right. They just don't look like turtles. They look weird. So people don't like that. They don't like Megan Fox being in there as April O'Neil because she's not a redhead, and so on and so forth. And that's going to continue on forever and ever and ever. There's nothing that anybody's going to be able to do about poor old Michael Bay, who just really doesn't give a fuck. He's making millions, making these gigantic movies, and he doesn't care about you. I'm telling you right now, he does not care about you or what you have to say about his movies. He doesn't. So, anyway, Mark Wahlberg is in the 4th Transformers movie. I've seen a trailer. It looks, like the others, like a big clusterfuck of I can't tell what's happening right now. It's weird and hard to look at. But he worked with Mark Wahlberg on another movie that people reluctantly liked, and it's something I wanted to see. I'm a huge fan of the True Story movie, even though, let's face it, they will be inaccurate to some degree. There's no possible human way to create an exact 100% perfect replica of real events without somebody going, no, that's fucked up, that's wrong. So, I'm going to tell you right now, Pain and Gain, True Story movie, I've heard some things that, no, this is wrong, the guy lost his toe, and they didn't find it, there was no dog eating the toe, and so on and so forth, which is all shit you've seen in the trailer. But who cares? I'm going to tell you that right now. Who cares? The job of the filmmaker is to tell you a compelling story, okay? The job of a news reporter is to tell you the facts, tell you what happened. Guess what? They don't do that very well all the time. So you can't look at the storyteller and go, hey, what the fuck, when the news reporter, whose job is to tell the facts, isn't doing it right. So, with that being said, I like the true story. I like the biopic. I like that sort of thing. I mean, even take Boardwalk Empire, which is a show that I love, and Nucky Thompson was really named Nucky Johnson, but the people, and again, another Mark Wahlberg connection there, he produces that show, they changed it to Nucky Thompson so that they could have a little creative license with the character and not have to stick to history. Even though Al Capone and Arnold Rothstein and people like that, real people, are in it. Even presidents and politicians. So it's just something you have to do in order to tell a compelling story sometimes. Think about your own life. If they made a movie about your life, they'd have to change some things, because I guarantee there's a lot of boring shit in there. Even take guys like, take these comedians that turn their lives into TV shows, whether it's Seinfeld, Louis C.K., or Jim Jeffries, guys like that. They fictionalize things in their lives. They take real things and then put a fictional spin on it, because it's more interesting that way. It's more fun. It's more creative. You can be silly. You can change things. You don't have to be stuck and glued to history, which would be a difficult thing to do. I understand that, but it's just not viable to go exactly by the book on these things. So Pain and Gain is one of these things, right? You take a true story. I'm sure there are things fictionalized in it for the purpose of entertainment, but the basic story is that 3 bodybuilders decide to rip off a rich guy, take all of his shit, so that they can live the good life. Now, all of this stuff happens within about an 8 or 9 month span, and what they pulled off in that time period, what they did was phenomenal. And when it came to an end so quickly, it's like, God, man, they went through all of that for almost nothing. Now, you start the story, the movie, when they get caught. I mean, and we know that they've been caught, obviously, because if they hadn't been caught, you wouldn't know the story, and we wouldn't have a movie. Because it's the criminals that don't get caught you don't know about. You never hear about. We only hear about the ones that have been arrested, have been found out, have been discovered, right? There are many, many criminals who, who knows? Who knows what the fuck they're doing? So, anyway, you have your main character, Daniel Lugo, played by Mark Wahlberg. He is the mastermind of all of this. He wants to live a better life, and he has his buddy, Adrian Doorbal, played by Anthony Mackie, who a lot of you might know from Captain America Winter Soldier. He plays a great character in that and becomes a hero in his own right. I'll leave that at that. If you haven't seen the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. Wahlberg is dissatisfied with life, so he ends up going to a seminar. He convinces Mackie that his character Adrian, Lugo convinces Adrian that life can be better. They deserve more. They should get more. They shouldn't just be personal trainers and bodybuilders, shit like that. So Doyle, that's another character. Lugo goes to a seminar by a guy named Johnny Woo, who is played by Ken Jeong. He's basically one of these guys you see, come to my get rich seminar, learn how to get rich, learn how to do this and that and that. Of course, he gets into his head, 3 steps, get a plan and execute the plan and whatever the fuck the 3 steps are. I don't remember them. I'm fucking them up right now. But anyway, you got to formulate a plan and execute it. So his plan is to rob this guy, Victor Kershaw, played by Tony Shalhoub, who is one of his clients. He's very rich, constantly bragging about it. He's, in a way, he gives Lugo shit all the time, but in a way where he's trying to convince him to, hey, man, get your shit together. You can be a survivor like me. This guy's half Jewish. His father escaped Germany in 1943, went to Colombia, married a Colombian woman, and now this guy, who's half Colombian, half Jewish, left Colombia to come to America, made his fortune with the Schlotsky's restaurants. So that's how he built his thing, and real estate and so on and so forth, and diversified and did what people do to make money. So he's the guy that Lugo decides to rob. Gets Doorbal on board, gets this guy Paul Doyle, played by Dwayne Johnson. Doyle is a guy who left prison, who's a coke addict, committed a robbery, went to prison, and got out. He's in love with Jesus now. He's clean and sober, and they end up roping him in to this plan to rob Kershaw. There are a ton of great, fun cameos in this movie, one of which shows Paul Doyle in prison fighting with some guys that are weightlifting, and he gets in a brawl with one dude, and I had to freeze frame this to see the dude's face, because I went, wait a second, is that who I think it is? You get to see in the movie a fight between The Rock and Kurt Angle. So Kurt Angle is one of the prisoners. He has a brawl with Paul Doyle, and it's great. It's like, all right, cool. So for wrestling fans out there, you get that little cool thing. And the cast in this is phenomenal anyway, and I'll keep going through it. So they decide to rob Kershaw, basically take everything he has, and get rid of him. Well, these guys are constant fuck-ups, and there will be some spoilers from here. I'm warning you now. These guys are constant fuck-ups, and they mess things up more than once in executing this plan, and they continuously screw things up left, right, and center as they execute different parts of the plan, including trying to kill Kershaw. So it gets bigger and bigger and out of control so quickly. You do see in the trailer, you see Doyle loses a toe, and you see how that happens and how he kind of loses control and fucks everything up in this. So many great people in this movie. You have Rob Corddry. He owns the gym that Lugo and Adrian work for. And I believe Doyle works there too, or he just works out there, one or the other. But he owns that gym. You have Ed Harris, who plays Ed Dubois, who is a private investigator. He gets involved. Rebel Wilson is a nurse who gets involved with Adrian. She's really great. And then there are other familiar faces. Michael Rispoli, Larry Hankin, Peter Stormare. You see a lot of people like that. Emily Rutherford plays Ed Harris's wife, and she has what to me is the funniest moment in the movie. She's reading, and I'm not going to give the whole thing away. I'm just going to tell you so you can look for it. She's reading a note, a phone message she took for Ed, and the way she reads it and delivers it is so fucking funny that I was dying. I almost wanted to back it up and watch it again. So it's great stuff. You do find out in the end of the movie, like many of these, what happens to everybody. But I think there's an element to everybody where you want that get rich quick thing. You want that little scheme in your head. You want to know, how do I get there? How do I make that money? How do I become whatever? And I got to be honest, when you watch things like this, it's like, oh, I could do that. I could get away with that. I could figure that out. And then you watch the consequences and you go, nope, not doing that. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just have that little bit of a criminal element in my head. But, when you watch stuff like this, you're like, nope, never would I do this in a million years. Never would I be so stupid. And, maybe you start to poke, maybe if they'd done this, maybe if I had done that, or they had done it, not I. But it's really wild, really interesting. And they remind you, this is a true story somewhere in the movie. Remember, this is a true story. There's a really unique thing in this movie in that you start out with narration by Lugo. And as you go through the movie, the narration changes through different characters. So you see Adrian, you see Doyle, you see Ed, you see Kershaw. All of these guys give their side of the story through narration, which I thought was really great and interesting. And I was glad to see it. It gave it a different layer where you're kind of getting into their heads without them having to outwardly expose their thoughts, which is not the way people speak or think, So it was nice. It was like them going, well, and then this happened. I got fucked up, and that was stupid, you know. So it's a lot of fun. Check it out. I think this will be a cult classic because it's one where I keep hearing people go, you know, it was actually good. And I don't think people are giving Michael Bay the credit that he deserves for this. Now, it does have, you know, Michael Bay moments, the explosions, the you know, crazy hero shots, as I'll call it, stuff like that. But, you know, it has the action to it. But it's a well-told story. It's really funny. Dwayne Johnson is hilarious throughout it. Rebel Wilson's really funny. It's just good stuff. Tony Shalhoub is great, so good. And you know, we saw him for years as Monk, this you know, nervous good guy, and he is just like motherfuck. You know, that's his character. He's just hard edged. He's been through some shit, seen some shit, goes through more shit, and he keeps going. So he's great in this movie. And I do think now that it's on Netflix streaming, people are going to start to check it out. And you don't have to spend your $8 or whatever to go to the theater. But I think it's something people are going to watch. And if they hate it, they're not going to admit it. Or, you know, I think they're going, oh, I don't want people to know I'm intentionally watching a Michael Bay movie. Again, he makes what he makes. Who gives a shit? You know, if you don't like him, don't watch his shit. That's fine. But Pain and Gain, even if you don't like Michael Bay, I think is something you can get behind. And it will be a cult movie. It will be something people talk about over the next couple of years. Hey, you know what I saw? You know what I saw? And it's going to get that word of mouth. It's really fun and deserves a lot of credit for a different kind of storytelling. So check it out, Pain and Gain. There's no pain involved. I tell you, it's all gain. See, you like what I did just there? No pain, all gain. Yeah. That was so dumb. Why did you let me do that? This is what happens when I'm by myself. God damn it. Nobody to shame me except for myself. So anyway, check out Pain and Gain. Really enjoyed it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Look forward to giving you more of these and more from Jeff and Dave as well on these little mini pod shorts. And thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Check out everything on the website. A lot of articles going up. And don't forget to backtrack, listen to the Phoenix Comic-Con episode with the Atomic Fallout Society. That was, of course, a lot of fun. And look for some more, you know, regular episodes as we go throughout as well. We will bring you some full episodes as we work through. But these are fun to do. I'm enjoying it. I get to ramble a little bit. And same for Jeff and Dave. And I don't know what else to say. But thank you for the millionth time. And we'll see you next time. Subscribe and download back episodes of Cinema Head Cheese the podcast and read all of our movie reviews and news at cinemaheadcheese.com. Email us at cinemaheadcheese@yahoo.com. Search Cinema Head Cheese on Facebook and tweet us at CINHeadCheese. And for more podcasts, books, comics, blogs, and videos, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.